Alright, y'all, so it's your boy Zxous, and today I am going to be doing the comparisons, right? I am going to be using Eve. I don't even know if this ever ain't fixed up. Elemental damage, okay, it's looking like we're working on. I'm on Rebuke's account. Shout out to Rebuke. I do have Eve on my own account, but I'm just on Rebuke's account because why not? I feel like his gears. I don't have overload gear for my Eve whatsoever. That's the main reason. But we are going to be doing some damage comparisons here, right? We're going to be doing Eve versus Red Hood and Eve versus Laplace. I know she's not going to beat Rappy, so we're going to see. Is Eve like really worth it in my opinion? I do think she's a must-have because she's a collab character, and a very good one at that. In terms of what she offers to the game, like you got to remember, Eve is kind of the equivalent to like Asuka in the sense of their must-have for anomaly interceptions. Now with Eve a must-have for anomaly interception, when it comes to the anomaly interception characters, you have Red Hood, you have Rappy, you have Laplace, and that's realistically it, right? But obviously, Rappy could be used as a burst one. Red Hood could be used as a burst one, or heck, if you want to go above and beyond, both of them could be used as a burst one, and then you can have Laplace and Eve as burst two. I don't even think people realize that, right? You can have Eve and Laplace as your burst 3 DPSs, have both Red Hood and Rappy be your burst 1 DPSs, and have Crown go ahead and be your freaking burst 2 DPS. Now, is that a realistic team? I mean, it's not a bad team, but hey, we're just going to see who hits harder here. We're going in with the monstrous trio team, the most electrifying team in the game. We're going in here. Let's take a look at the gear comparison. So both of them are 10, 10, 10. Obviously, I just show you guys the gear there. Okay. Okay. So, obviously, as you guys can see, Red Hood is a bit more advanced than Eve, but we're going to go in here and take a look, right? And I do want to do the same thing for Laplace, right? Because my whole thing is, if Eve ends up hitting harder than this character, well, maybe not for Red Hood, because there's more to Red Hood than just damage, obviously, but if like Eve was to hit harder than Laplace, Eve becomes better than Laplace. Do you get what I'm saying? This is what I mean. The more limited, like, there's not that many characters for Iron DPS. There's only 3. 4 if we count Snow White, but even then I feel like that's pushing it, right? If Eve is better than any of those 3 characters DPS wise, then she goes up in level of how much value this character holds behind her. Like, after 1 burst skill, she's already at 388 million, right? And here's Red Hood using her burst skill, right? Red Hood is stronger, Red Hood is more invested in terms of the gear, obviously. Let's see what Red Hood ends up with after her burst skill, right? She's at 641, while Eve is sitting at 509 million, which is like, okay, after a burst skill, yeah, Eve is going to be under Red Hood, because both of them use their burst skill there, right? Okay, the enemy ended up jumping, right? Obviously, the more creep that Eve gets, the stronger she is, but I'm not going to make a team that's better for Eve that's hurting Red Hood, and I'm not going to build a team that's better for Red Hood that's hurting Eve. I feel like with the monstrous trio team, you can see both of their, like, I guess, maximum power through this team. Not really their maximum power, but you can get a good comparison, right? I don't know why people always want to compare their best team against their best team. I know it sounds weird of me saying that, but like, if Eve's best team was this, I mean, Eve performed the best with the monstrous trio team, right? And I feel like if you put Snow White or Red Hood on any other team, she's probably going to perform worse than this team, right? Maybe if you put her with like Pierce characters, because Grave and Pierce characters, for some reason, they're just broken. It's not for some reason, it's just Grave's whole thing, right? Grave makes Pierce characters broken. So I'll give her that, obviously, but we're gonna take a look at right here in a second. It looks like Red Hood is going to be hitting harder than Eve, but is that? Oh, it's 1.5 billion. I was like, what is she? Right? Red Hood is hitting harder than Eve. You know, but is it by that much? And this is what I mean. Like, if we're saying Red Hood is this crazy DPS and Eve is that, like, you know, close to Red Hood, despite Red Hood being core 7 with what, 3 lines of max ammo capacity and a fully invested collection item, which I think Eve is as well, has a full invested collection item. I'm not sure, right? I know Red Hood does for sure, but I'm not sure about Eve, right? This is my thing. Like, that makes Eve quite powerful. right? Because if they were built exactly the same, if they were on the exact same playing field, Eve would probably be as strong as Red Hood, if not stronger, in DPS, right? And this is what I mean, right? So it's like, hey, I think it's just Eve is just better. I think Eve is just better. I mean, not Eve is just better. I think Eve is good. Not Eve is just better. I think Eve is good. So let's take a look and see. We have 30 more seconds. Obviously, like, you know, Eve is not too far from Red Hood, but Red Hood seems to be stronger. And we'll see what's going to happen between these two. We'll see by the end of it. We'll see what happens between these two. Hold on. So yeah, like in conclusion, I do think Eve is very powerful. Considering, you know, Red Hood is core 7 and has better overload gear than Eve, I would say Eve is very, very good. And even still, this right here is good enough for me to be like, okay, yeah, Eve is going to be a must-have, right? If Eve is putting up numbers like this at the investment she's at, and there's not that many Iron Code DPS characters, I might as well. You know what I mean? And, you know, probably in a video tomorrow or something, I'll do, like, I'll make this one just dedicated to, you know, Red Hood. But Red Hood ended up getting 3.9 billion, and Eve ended up getting 3.2 billion, which is a 700 million damage difference, which is quite big. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. That's a quite big difference. But as see, if you guys could see at the, like, power difference here, Red Hood is 100k, almost 100k power stronger than Eve, right? And that's not an excuse by any means, but at the end of the day, that is a reality. And for obviously Eve to be hitting as hard as she did, I'm going to give her props. I am going to give her props 100%. I do think Eve is very powerful. I do think she is going to be one of those characters that is like, oh, you're going to probably need her more and more, and you're probably going to see it more with Raven. Like, if they drop a new set of content right now and the bosses for Electrocode has parts, you're going to probably want Raven. Not only that, I think this character in general is very good for Electrocode allies, because you got to remember, what is it, where is it, right here, when she hits the enemy, right, under the unstable energy thing, or when unstable energy hits the target will have damage taken increased to them by 10% for 10 seconds. That's like a buff towards everybody on the team, because now everybody on the team is doing 10% more damage to the boss for at least 10 seconds. That's including characters that are type advantage against that boss. So Eve kind of has a lot of value, somewhat as a support and as a DPS, right? And this is just what I think, right? I am going to have multiple videos about this character because I want to try it with different teams. I'll leave this one to just her versus Red Hood. Or I think I would do her versus Laplace, and I would just probably cut it and skip it. So I'm going to, actually, I'm going to do that. I don't want you guys sit here for another 3 minutes. I'm going to go in here versus Laplace, and I'm just going to pause it, and we're going to see what that looks like, okay? So I'll be back in a second. Alright, so we have 10 more seconds here on the clock. I actually have not seen anything here, so what you guys are about to see is going to be my first time seeing it. I don't know who ended up hitting harder. I was just sat here, alright? I've not been checking every few seconds. I've not been checking. This is going to just see who is stronger between, you know, Laplace and Eve right here, right? Damage-wise. I don't know. Let's take a look. And Eve blew Laplace out the water. Right, and this is what I mean. If Laplace is the third strongest iron DPS and Eve just beat her, and it by a lot too, and Eve has damage taken increase that helps out the entire team, Eve automatically is better than Laplace. Mind you, Laplace has her favorite item. Is it fully invested? No. She didn't have a Q bomb, which is unfair, and she also didn't have any of this on as well, right? She did have you know, stats. She didn't have any of it leveled up, but she still has more attack, and she's core 7. Yes, just like this is what I mean though, right? Like, even if I was to fully invest in I mean, this is not my account, obviously. I didn't check Laplace or anything like that beforehand, so maybe a lot of you guys might be like, it's unfair. but it's quite clear that Eve is stronger than Laplace regardless. So Eve would be the third strongest, Iron Code DPS in the game. And remember, 2 out of 3 of the strongest Iron Code DPSs in the game can be used as burst ones. This is why I feel like Eve is a must-have personally, but you guys let me know what you think. It's your boy Zxous. I'm out. Peace.